Meteorologist Matthew East here with you. This is the December 16th, Wednesday edition of our Carolina weather video here. And boy, do we have a lot to talk about. Growing interest, of course, over our storm system that will affect us Friday into the weekend. And still a lot of uncertainty amongst the models, and I'll kind of get into that here as we go through the video. But certainly cold air settling on in. We have been talking about this next shot of Arctic air moving in, and here it comes. And temperatures certainly quite chilly in a lot of places across the lower 48 this morning. Bitterly cold, dry air mass up in the Midwest and the Great Lakes that continues to plunge southward. Look at the temperatures up in the Midwest, and lots of folks with sub-zero temperatures this morning. Now here across our part of the world, you have temperatures in North Georgia at 5 a.m., upper 30s to low 40s, and then you have a lot of mid-30s when you get into the Carolina Piedmont, closer to the coast, low to mid-40s this morning, and that cold, dry Arctic air continuing to settle in. Our radar is quiet, but already the beginnings of our next storm system showing up on the radar. Some heavy rain this morning down in South Texas, northeastern Mexico, and into the Gulf of Mexico, and that is the very beginnings of our next storm system. This is the 6Z run of the GFS. And I'll kind of take you through the GFS as we get into the upcoming event, and then I'll show you some of the other modeling. Today is going to be a quiet day, some high clouds out there, and a cool day. Looks like temperatures certainly back in that cooler range across the North Carolina Piedmont. We're looking at a lot of upper 40s for highs today. Cold one tonight. Definitely sub-freezing low temperatures tonight. Many folks dipping down into the upper 20s and even some mid-20s mixed in tonight. And then tomorrow, another quiet day with the highs similar to today. Looks like a lot of upper 40s to lower 50s at most. And then we go on out into Friday. And that's when our next storm system begins to take shape. Again, this is off of the 6C run of the GFS. This is valid at 1 o'clock in the afternoon Friday. And you have a nice area of low pressure taking shape there across North Florida. Precip spreading across our region. And notice the GFS continues to make this a long duration event. This is 7 o'clock in the morning Saturday. Still a lot of precip falling around the Carolinas at that point in time. So let's take you through a comparison, sort of an apples to apples comparison here amongst the models. This is the GFS. Then these are all going to be charged for 7 o'clock in the evening Friday. So GFS, and I'll kind of highlight what we're looking at here. GFS showing you that nice low pressure at that point, centered off of the Georgia and South Carolina coast. High pressure has retreated up into Canada, but a very, very well-defined cold air damming signature down the eastern side of the Appalachians all the way down into northeastern Georgia. The NAM, at the same time, pretty similar. The precip field not as expansive, but you still have the main players on the field. High pressure retreating from New England into Canada. Pretty good cold air damming signature there. The UK Met, boy, the UK Met really wants to bomb this thing out, and this is, again, 7 o'clock in the evening Friday. Low pressure off the Florida coast. Cold air damming signature. The precip really confined to southeastern parts of South and North Carolina and eastern Georgia. But certainly the same general features on the playing field there with the UK Met. And here's the European, 7 o'clock in the evening Friday. Low pressure off the coast of Florida. Cold air damming down the eastern side of the mountains. And so it's certainly showing the same general idea. Finally, the Canadian. The low a little slower back in North Florida at that point in time. But again, notice on the Canadian you have very well-defined cold air damming signature ahead of that system as the precip begins to spread on in. So what does all that mean? Well, it means that I think there's still a pretty good chance that somebody across the southeast is going to see some wintry precip this weekend. Now, the exact nature of that threat and where it might be, really questions I still don't have a lot of confidence in answering, but anybody from northeast Georgia on up through the upstate and even maybe the Midlands of South Carolina and up through much of North Carolina, they're fair game to see the potential for some wintry weather this weekend. I was taking a look at some of the sounding data from the NAM and the GFS, and frankly, it's colder than you might think from looking at the charts. There's a pretty good amount of cold air that's driving down as this system's moving in. So I do think there's a decent chance that we're going to see some wintry precip around the region involved with this, but how significant is tough to say. For instance, the Canadian model, while it looked pretty good, a lot of the precip quickly gets shunted out to sea, and there's not a lot of precip over parts of the Carolinas and in North Georgia. The European also takes the heaviest precip east, but it still is close enough to give, especially the I-85 corridor, a good little dousing of precip. So there's a lot of question marks to answer here, and we're probably not going to get a great handle on this system until at the earliest Thursday, as we get all the major players on the field here across the North American Observation Network. So a lot of question marks to answer, but I will say that I still think there's a pretty good chance somebody in the southeast is going to see some wintry weather Friday into the weekend. Honing in on where and how much and the timing are still big question marks this morning. But like we've been talking about, this is not a one-and-done deal. There's more potential down the road. Let's go back to some of the modeling here. This is back to the 6C GFS. System pulls away as we get through Saturday evening into Sunday. Sunday looks like a cold day and a dry day. Monday, some clouds around, same deal as Sunday, but very chilly conditions in place. Maybe some snow in the mountains. Tuesday, chilly and dry. And then, looky there, Christmas Eve. There's that next storm system moving through, and that looks interesting. And then on down the road there, Christmas morning, or actually this is 1 o'clock Christmas afternoon, pretty chilly air mass in place. And it looks like this cold air is going to be with us for the rest of the month, at least for a large part of the rest of the month. And it still looks like we're going to have an active storm track. I'm not saying it's going to snow on Christmas Eve. I'm just saying that there is an active storm track. There's cold air around. It is an interesting pattern for sure. All right, that's it for today. Thank you so much for watching. I'll have a new edition of the video posted bright and early coming up tomorrow morning on Thursday morning. Have a great day today, and God bless.